Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, another exciting episode. We're going to go into a deep, impactful story of one person's dream of transformation. And not just transformation with themselves, but transformation of a name, of a community, of a mindset. And it's funny because I followed the story through social media and I recognized the landscape. And the landscape I'm talking about is 42nd and Post Road area, east side of Indianapolis. Once upon a time, a thriving community, middle class, and over the course of years, right before our eyes, we've seen devastation, a high level of poverty, otherwise known as the ghetto. I'd like to welcome to the show Nashawn Clay, a person that's definitely bringing awareness to, I'm going to call it what it is, the stereotype. But is it really a stereotype when you mention the ghetto, poverty, and living conditions? And more importantly, how do we make people see that out of the ashes, there is possibility to grow? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Your journey, you're young. So it's funny when we was doing the pre-interview, I was like, I grew up over there in those same apartments or living environment, but it didn't look like that when I grew up. I remember the blizzard of 72, living over there with my uncle during the winter months, and couldn't come outside because the snow was literally to the roof. You wasn't born then. I remember in the 80s walking over to Church's Chicken, in that same neighborhood. I remember my nephews growing up in that neighborhood and later moving a little bit further down into the Lawrence district. But it's funny because I've also seen let me call it what it is. It's just the community, the lawmakers not putting money back into urban development. Let's start with, first of all, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself before we get into your story.
My name is Nashawn Clay. I grew up on 42nd and Post Road. I grew up around what you said, poverty, what the world is seeing now. I was born into it, so that was my environment. I grew up in a chaotic, dysfunctional, household. My dad wasn't there. My grandma raised me. My mom was around, but she had me when she was 15. So I think it's the typical story that you see in any ghetto. Is just, God gave me a different mindset to one different than what I saw. So I played basketball to not fall victim to selling drugs or joining the streets. So that's really my pathway. I just pushed myself to be more than what I saw in my community.
When you said dysfunction, family, and we have that pretty much all over. It's just not a black thing. We see it in white, but it's just more amplified in the black community to create fear and panic in the white society. But you had to have a strong mindset because that area transformed really quickly into a battle zone, Indiana. And I remember back in the day before you was born, in the late 90s, that was the worst crime area in the nation.
Really?
Yeah, it was the worst crime area in the nation. They literally had to bring the sheriff's department. They had to create a police protocol in those areas, in those apartment areas, because crime was escalating. In the part, the part is, you wasn't born then. But the thing about it is, this is what I don't like, and I'm glad you're taking a stand and trying to bring awareness to this. This still goes back to the lawmakers, and it also goes back to the system that provides assistance for the ones that need assistance, but really not governing what they're giving out, policing the neighborhoods and allowing things to happen so they don't get to where they got to. You said you came into, both your mom and dad wasn't really there, but what kind of pressures did you deal with?
Could you, like, what do you mean by that?
Like growing up in those type of conditions, how did you manage to avoid pressures with people coming at you telling you, well, you should sell this key, sell this weed, and start making that money?
I can say when I was growing up, like the older people, they didn't pressure me.
Okay.
So when I played basketball, they respected it. You know, sometimes they used to ask me to shoot over the cage when it was in some place and get $5. So they never really pressured me to really sell drugs. I think more so the only time I ever got pressure is when I was just randomly wearing red pants and somebody praised me for it. That was the only time.
Why they praise you for wearing red pants?
Because it was Vice Lords and Gangster Disciples over there.
I already knew that. I just going to see what you was going. So what school did you attend?
I started in IPS, behavior issues. I flunked at 103, which was on 42nd and Post. I moved back in with my mom. She was married at the time. She actually stayed in the houses behind Sutton Place.
Okay.
So that's Lawrence Township, so I had to go to Lawrence. So I spent most of the rest of my years inside of Lawrence. Well, I started at a charter school. Then I went to Lawrence, and I graduated from Lawrence North High School. Why
do you say you was pretty bad? Give me an idea of what bad is.
I don't think I was bad. I think I was just strong-willed. So,
meaning, yeah. What, if a teacher told you something, you was rebellious?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can say that.
How did you manage to find role models? You know, who were your role models?
I didn't really have any role models, honestly. I mean, my uncle, he was in the streets, heavy. He actually just recently got shot on Post Road, kind of sat him down. But he was more so just encouraging me to be smart. He always knew that I was smart, so he would always lift me up and say things to keep me going. But I never really had somebody to look up to until I got into basketball. And I actually looked up to an NBA player.
Who?
Derrick Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good player to look up
yeah.
to. Yeah. And then when you said your uncle, who you looked up to, I'm not going to say once upon a time, but who you looked up to and unfortunately just recently got shot. I mean, did he ever tell you stories about why he himself chose that route and didn't look for any other alternatives?
Yeah, he told me. He said it started in his household. It started with his mom. His mom said something when something happened to him in elementary school, and she said something, and it really bothered him. And after that, he just became angry, and he went towards the streets.
You're around a lot of young people. I saw your social media page, and you said something that was really impactful. The Crips, the Bloods, the Vice Lords, the Disciples. How many friends have you lost to gang violence? And how do you mature to get over it? Because it's not going to go anywhere. Let's be honest. It's never going anywhere.
I lost a lot, honestly. So since you know how Post Road is, from the older people to my generation, I probably lost over 20 people to gun violence, but my friends close to me, it's probably 5.
They all passed away or critical condition, wheelchairs?
They passed away. They all got killed. And the reason how I got over that, honestly, I was angry. My last friend was killed in 2020. He got shot on the back of Brentwood, and he died at the 42nd light. So I was angry.
Right there, 42nd light. That's right there at the gas station, right?
He died right by where Jordan's was at.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was angry. I wanted revenge. You know, it was a battle. But I was also, that was the year I I found the church. So I feel like that actually played a big role in me not wanting to get revenge, and I healed over time. So I'm not angry about it anymore.
I can see one of your friends passing away, but I have to realize you're still young, and with youth on your side, you it's hard to process a lot of information. My grandmother used to tell me when I was a lot younger than you down south. I used to say, "Man, that's my friend. That's my friend. That's my friend." And my grandmother sat me down one day. She said, "Let me tell you something, boy. Those ain't your friends. Those are acquaintances that you see. By the time you graduate high school and stuff, you're gonna have a whole new different life. Time you go to college, you're gonna have a whole different life. You're gonna be able to count your friends on one hand. Now today I can count my friends on one hand. But to go back to the question I'm about to say, you start losing your friends to gang related activities. Why do you think it took so long for you to really change the narrative of your life? Because if I'm seeing all my friends dying, I'm asking myself, okay, is this really what I want to be doing?
I think I kind of already knew that since middle school when I started playing basketball. I was kind of conscious. You know, I was a product of my environment. That's normal. But I was also very conscious, and I knew that what I was growing up around is something that I did not want. So I was already aware of that. That pathway wasn't the pathway I wanted.
You mentioned you stayed with your mom. Did you and your mom ever sit down, and she was married? She got married when you went back, but did you and her ever, did she ever sit down and really talk to you about things that she wanted to see happen for you as her son, knowing the environment that is almost, let me rephrase it, that's difficult to navigate?
You said son, I'm a girl.
Oh, girl, I'm out.
Um,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I don't really have, I'm grateful to have a mom. You know, God gives us our parents for a reason, but I don't really have or never really had that relationship or a mother and daughter relationship. So I don't really know what that feels like. So I never really had a conversation with my mom about stuff like that.
Being a girl, how do you find somebody on the feminine side to understand what it's like to release the emotions and the feelings and the anger and resentment that you deal with every day as a young person?
I don't know. I draw to older women, and I think that's just a form of trauma of me seeking that I didn't get as a kid. But I have came across older women in my life who were very supportive. When I was working in IPS, I came across an older lady. She never wanted to tell me her exact age, but I think she in her 60s. So she was a counselor. I would sit in her room a lot. We would talk. You know, she'd give me advice. She's the one who actually pushed me to the direction of enrolling into Martin University. So I feel like I had women in my life who helped me on my journey.
What was the most impactful thing that lady shared with you that really made you go, wow?
To forgive my dad, to look at myself and see how I was still holding on to anger against my dad when she asked me, did I tell my dad happy birthday? And I was like, no, he ain't never tell me happy birthday. And she pointed that out.
That's pretty interesting. Your friends that passed, before they passed, what are some of the things that you guys all strive for? What were some of their fears and what were some of their joys that you remember? Because those things still haunt you because you're trying to make a difference, and that the pain is the loss of your friends, but even more importantly, you don't want to forget the struggles that they went through and what they were trying to achieve. What was that like, and what were some of the things they shared with you?
I don't think me and my friends got to that point. We all just came outside one day and just started hanging out. But everybody started off playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
They was playing football. My friend Vaughn, who was recently killed 2020, he was a football player. And then out of nowhere, everybody just changed and went towards the streets. I feel like I was the only one who didn't turn. I just stayed towards my goal of wanting to get out.
You wind up being in an unfamiliar, or let's say unfamiliar place. You going to a church and it changed you. What was that like? And
Um,
more importantly, what led you into the church? Because I know the area.
yeah.
I know the area. Now I know there's a little church on 42nd Street going eastbound, going towards German Church Road, if it's still there. And okay, I'm going back the opposite way. There's a church over, okay, over somewhere by the pawn shop. And there's more churches going towards 30th and Post Road. So which
Yeah.
church did you walk into?
The one on the corner, the little triangle looking church.
That's still there?
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't know what. I knew it was a church at one time, but I never ever been in there because I didn't know that. I thought it maybe flipped into a barbecue spot or something. But it's a church.
Yeah, I never knew that until I walked in.
I joined the club. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when you walked in, why did you walk in there? First of all,
So I think it was a great story. I was working at a car detailing place, and I just met a man. His name was T. He was from Africa, and he literally just randomly took me under his wing. He started teaching me about the Holy Spirit. He encouraged me to get back in church. I thought it was a bad business, but he talked me through it. And then he just started telling me stuff like that I was going to be a leader one day, and that I was going to be the one to make change in my neighborhood. But one tree can't make a forest. I need the church, and I just listened to him. And I had two churches in mind, and something just pulled me towards the church that I walked into.
what was the other church, and where was that located
It
at?
was on Post. It's that big mega church.
Man, I'm trying to think what big mega church is on Post Road.
It's next to some place in that field.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Shows y'all don't go in the neighborhood too much. It's not that it's a bad neighborhood because I see the new development that's going on there. I think I was really pleased when they told those apartments down that's behind where the Jordans used to be.
It's Oak Tree.
But I'm really, my nephew grew up there, and I mean all kind of families went there. But I think what really gets me is if you're going to tear Oak Tree down, why not tear down the other ones that's next to the little mall across the street from where Jordan's at? Why not do a complete revamp of that whole entire area? And the reason why I say that is because those apartments from that way all the way down to Pendleton Pike have been there for years.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not holding the landowners and the people that own the property accountable. It's more like, well, we'll take your money, we'll take your housing assistance, but we won't do shit about really beautifying the neighborhood. You know, just let it stay there. What's your take on that?
Well, I grew up on Brentwood. I grew up in Town and Terrace condominiums. They're tearing those down right now. I don't really have much to say right now because I don't really know the direction. But I'm trying to push more so what I'm standing for and what I'm fighting for inside of the community right now. So I wish I could give more, but I can't because I feel like I speak out of ignorance from the lack of knowledge. So I can't really say much.
Yeah, because even that whole east side has not done anything with urban planning and development. I mean, even the John Marshall area, those apartments have been government subsidized for years, and you would think that politicians, the congressmen, would do something to make the landowners or property owners more accountable in fixing the place up. They did it with the malls, you know, said, hey, you know, do this. Why ain't there sanctions? Are you working closely with any politicians to help your message become more clear or to make them see your what your mission is?
I think I can give credit to the city of Indianapolis. When I got on the news, like in 2020, and I just spoke on my neighborhood, they did come out on Brentwood, cut the grass, you know, cleaned it up. They heard me, but also I have to be honest, it was a lot going on Brentwood. So I understand that it was kind of like a blockage that we couldn't really reach at the time. But I feel like right now my name is kind of getting up there to the point where it's going to become a time where I'm able to sit down with them and help redevelop the neighborhood.
If you had to do, what's your dream for the east side?
My dream for the East Side is honestly, that's a good question. What I know now, I want it to become something that is very special. You know, has a great foundation that helped me. You know, and really helps kids who come from the ghettos, or just help kids who come from the ghettos and bring other people in to create a neighborhood where when you see kids who come from 42nd and Post Road, you will see them becoming like great things in life.
Yeah, and you're really big in school. I would think that they would take some of those school buildings that have been abandoned, and what I would like to see is more of a um, job placement trade type center to allow these opportunities to take place. I mean, clearly there's a lot of abandoned structures over there that I'm surprised that the city hasn't taken advantage of to create opportunities, like you said, for these young people over there. Because don't get me wrong, the Lawrence Township area school system is great. They definitely just rebuilt all those school systems, but sometimes school doesn't register with everybody. Sometimes just having a trade and learning, engineering, learning air conditioning, learning automotive mechanic will give a person a better opportunity than sitting in the classroom 8 hours a day. What's your take on that?
I agree. I'm not a school person. I like psychology. That's it. But other than that, I'm not a school person. Especially in today's time, a lot of kids are going digital. They want to be YouTubers and different things like that. So I definitely agree. Like something out there like that can really help a lot of kids thrive.
You mentioned something that I talked about a lot: the overnight sensations of the social media. What's your take on that? And your own social media, how is your message being accepted on the social media platform? Are people really paying attention to you? What kind of feedback are you getting?
It's social media. Social media is a crazy place. You know, you have people who support what you do. They hear your message. Then you have people who just don't care and they just attack. So that's social media.
Like when you say just attack, how can you attack something that you're standing for, which is really trying to create opportunities in a situation where opportunities don't happen all the time unless you make them?
I don't know. I posted a video on Brentwood just showing the buildings because they all been bought out, so they're boarded up, about to get knocked down. And I was just showing the aftermath, and I just had a whole bunch of pages just coming, just saying the black people neighborhood, y'all always tearing stuff up. So it's just a bunch of hate comments on that video.
What's your take on that? I don't see black people tearing stuff up.
My take on that, I feel like it was a great topic to talk about. Just their approaches was kind of rude. But my take on that from Brentwood, I don't know if you're familiar with Brentwood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brentwood, I am more of a person that likes to take accountability and hold others accountable. And I do believe like a part of us did take a part in destroying the community from our ways. But I also understand that the way that we think in the ghettos is also, it was designed that way. So it's like we're suffering from something that was programmed for us to do that, but we also have to realize that we are fighting against a system. We have to take accountability for it.
When you say a system and we were programmed that way, what do you mean?
Just the way the world is. The world is, it's our minds is very powerful, and one thing the world does is targets our minds. And in the ghettos, I feel like it's a spiritual warfare, honestly, and we're still being attacked from the music that we listen to, from the rappers that are being used to make us think a certain way, go out and kill each other. When you look at music or television or social media, you don't see a lot of positive black images that comes from the ghetto. They always like promoting negativity. When you look on the internet, you always see in like other communities, you see mom, dad, them going to college, them doing great things. You don't really see that for us, and that's a program.
Why do you think it's so hard for the program of today's youth to get away from that? If you can't be the only conscious person trying to make a difference, so why is it so hard? And this is a hypothetical question. I don't expect you to give 100%, but you're around people. Why do you think they keep gravitating to this? The music, the no role models, and I get it. I mean, we just had an election, and we don't have any powerful black people that you can put on the campaign trail except for Lil Wayne and rappers. I mean, like, it really shows a lack of respect for people of color, and even more importantly, even Kamala Harris. I'm thinking, you're the vice president. You can't find minorities that aren't entertainers that can come and speak on change. What was your take on that? I know you probably watched the presidential race. What was your take on that?
Well, I'm kind of very fascinated with the government, so I kind of see a side that a lot of people don't see, is more so the truth. And I feel like everybody's playing a role. You know, it's good versus evil. As I get bigger and as you get bigger, you can come across a door where you can either join forces with them or you can continue to go down another route. And I feel like a lot of people who are in these big roles, or presidents, vice presidents, they chose to join a side of the system to work with the system. So that's just my take.
I never heard it put like that. It does. That's pretty deep.
Yeah, that's just my take. And I do feel like a lot of us who don't get away from that system comes from accountability. You know, when I was growing up, you didn't really see the people around you or the kids and stuff or the older adults promoting kids to read or pull up their pens or go to college. When you went to jail, you were praised for it. You know, so it's like we have to be held accountable for a lot of stuff that's happening in our communities.
I'm gonna ask you an off the top question.
All right.
It's interesting to hear how the young people, you mentioned rap, but let me ask you a question. What's your take on the Diddy thing? Everybody bought the records. I like to get a young person's view on that. And now you got Jay-Z. These are well-known entertainers in our community, successful. We just saw Beyonce perform on television and switch over the country. Like, what's your take on all this entertainment stuff? And you're trying to deliver a different message. And we're talking about entertainers with tons of money that can literally make a difference in anybody's neighborhood.
Well, my take on that is more so it comes back to them choosing a side. I can't really say if a person is guilty or not because I don't know, but I know what we are seeing in a Diddy case is happening in the industry. It's very heavy. It's very deep inside of the industry. And I feel like one of the biggest things that our community get trapped in is the color. When we see somebody step up who has the same color skin as us, we think, okay, they're for us. But a lot of times, a lot of people who look like you, sometimes it's not always that way because that's not how the system works now. So that's really much my take on it. You know, just got to be careful because it's really, in my opinion, good versus evil, not color versus color.
You mentioned that you now travel a universal, aka spiritual journey.
Yeah.
What's that like, and for you to do that? How difficult is it, and then what is the beautiful part about it?
The beautiful part about it is that I'm growing, I'm changing. My mindset is changing. Actually, when I found the church, well, I won't even say the church. When I found actually like God led me to Jesus, I got away from the mentality that I was born into. So I saw it for what it was, and it helped me separate. But everything about me is changing. I'm finding myself. I'm healing in areas that I didn't think I would heal in. The hard part, I don't really think it's a hard part now. People are going to accept you for who you are, or they going to like you, or they going to dislike you. I don't think it's really a hard part to it.
Did you take advice from the mature lady, I'm not going to say old lady, at the school that says, when you shared about the situation with your dad that was really becoming part of your demon, how did you handle that?
I listened to her. I always had an open door for my dad. It just, now in life, I'm not really interested in constantly being the one to fix a relationship because it's two lanes. It's not just one person who has to do it. He needs to do it too. So I was open, open the door for him, to be a dad, be in my life, but he has to grow on his own too.
What's your take on fathers? It's kind of curious because your father was there, but he wasn't there. You were a beautiful young lady. What is your take? What's your overall take on fathers in general?
They're very important. They're needed. A lot of kids, a lot of kids need their dads. Every kid needs their dad, so they're important.
What did you miss most about your dad not being able to be obligated to the role of a father?
I think the main thing that I missed was just knowing what it felt like to have a dad. That's the most thing that I pull towards when I try to get him in my life.
How were you able to move on and still forgive him at the same time?
I don't know. You just when you live without something for a long time,
You get used to it, don't
yeah.
you?
So I just moved on with my life, and thank God he healed me from any type of anger or whatever that I had towards my dad. And I'm honestly it's something that he has to learn. I do believe where I came from played a role in why he chose not to be in my life.
Hmm.
That's just my opinion. So it gives him an opportunity to learn that even though he looked at me in such a negative light, I turned out to be a great person, a smart kid.
You just tapped on something. Maybe. What do you think? You're mature now. What do you think was the negative sides, the negative part of your father that he had to resonate to because of his projected outlook on you? What was he dealing with that he couldn't come to grips with now that you're older and you see the bigger picture?
I know he had a story, so it could be his own trauma that he's faced in his childhood that he's still holding on to that's affecting our relationship.
Do you find that a lot of this is, and I don't even like using the word generational, but do you really think that it's much harder for people that are trapped in the ghetto to resonate their pain and really sit down and use the word, like you said, really be accountable to what they're dealing with, or is it so far gone that once you get there, the odds of taking accountability is almost zero?
I think it's still there. It's up to that person. If they want to take accountability and grow. That's why I start with the kids because it's a fresh start. But I feel like it's still hope there.
What are you doing now? You mentioned you're working with kids, but what do you want to do? What are you doing now? What do you want to do?
What I'm doing now, working in a school, Pike Township. Great experience so far. I work with a kid who has autism. What I want to do, I want to continue to use the gifts that God gave me to connect with the youth that comes from where I come from, to push them to better ways, from the education to outside life to all around. That's what I really want to do right now.
How hard was it? How long of a process did this take for you
Or what process?
to find the enlightenment that you are now? This journey, this transformation.
It started in 2020 when I found the church. That's when it happened. That's when I got a passion for it. Really started in 2019, but 2020 was the year that it took off. But once I got baptized, I got a strong passion in my heart to fight for the youth in my neighborhood. And like 2020, I was on Brentwood. I noticed Oak Tree was about to be knocked down, and I knew that Brentwood or Town and Terrace was next. So I went into the community 2020, and I try to allow the people in the community to know that we have to change our ways. We got to stop doing what we're doing, or we're going to be the ones who cause these apartments to be or townhomes to be knocked down. So that was really when it started, honestly.
Are people there paying you any attention? Aren't they worrying about displacement? Where are they going to go? Because it's not like the city has affordable housing all over for everybody. Rent has gone up. Landlords pick the prices, and their prices are enforced. So, I mean, isn't there a panic of them worrying about their displacement, where they're going to go if they decide to tear these places down and basically regenderify the east side with something totally different that they was not aware of.
Honestly, it was never so on in Town and Terrace. They were homeowners. It was never them that was causing the chaos. It was, it was. I try to pick my words wisely because I'm not trying to. I want to continue to keep the peace while I also speak out of love.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the homeowners. It was everybody, the older people, that watched me grow up, people I grew up with who was going into the community and causing these issues. So I was speaking more to them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they were listening, but they were watching me. Some people picked up the trash, threw it away. I promoted that. I try to push that out to them, take care of your neighborhood. So I don't really know. That's something that they have to come out and say.
Do you ever get afraid of your message being taken the wrong way?
No, not at all. I got threatened 2 times in 2020. I did not care.
How do you how do you threaten somebody that's trying to glorify your neighborhood? I don't get it. What did they say to you? That's really crazy.
All right, one said, "Stop coming on Brentwood. We're gonna kill you. We're watching your family." The second one said, "I'm gonna be the next put on the news." I said, "Okay." Actually, I told him to just write me behind your real page and we can have a real conversation.
I can't even imagine somebody really lowering their self to say something as stupid as that, and all you're trying to do is a recognize where you live and do something with your community, and it's being met with ignorance of somebody threatening. That's
they were men too. It was men doing it. I'm really smart. I don't think they understood that I could find out who it was. So they kind of underestimated me, but I found out who it was. So I let it go. I didn't really care. It just goes back to the way that we think. It's like we're in a mindset to self-destruct, and anything that comes our way to help us think differently, it's like we're programmed to destroy it or attack it. So.
Now let's talk about something that I thought was really, really cool. You had a chance to present an idea to the Elon Musk people. That's crazy. When you mention Elon Musk, that's money.
Yeah, he's definitely rich. I spoke to his open AI company, which is what you use on Chat GPT. Mm-hmm. That's open AI. So I just had a robot. They don't have the real name. I gave them a replica of my idea. So if they try to steal the idea, it won't work because it's not really mine. I'm just doing how but I'm not gonna give the real name. The replica name is Tarzan the robot. He is designed off of my mentoring system, how I mentor kids. His target would be more so kids who come from poverty, who are in low income schools. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to follow how what I do. I mentor kids. I push them. I sit in class with kids that people can't reach. I get them to do their work. I get them to see more. I help them see the light within themselves, that they can be more than or overcome what they're going through at home. They can be something in life. And I'm going to program my robot to do the same thing. And I'm going to have a main robot. He's going to be the one that's with me. He's going to grow with my brand. And as he gets bigger and people want him more, I'm going to create many versions of him and push him out across the world if God allows me to do that. So
that sounds like some iRobot shit. I want one.
Yeah. I don't know. I just got that idea out of nowhere and I just acted on it and I started creating.
Really?
Yeah. That's the way my mind works.
How was this idea met when you shared it with them?
They actually loved the idea. They loved the idea. I didn't want to sell my idea. I wanted the partnership. So I wanted to use their open AI system. That's what it was. That's why I went to them. The open AI system is very advanced, and I love the robots.
What is an open AI system so the viewers can know? I myself am trying to understand AI, and I love it so far. I'm like, man, this is crazy. But then I think it has this to me, it has this downside. Let me explain to you what I mean by downside. It thinks so much that it prevents you from really thinking critically.
Yeah.
you know, and I'm thinking this is good, but then it's not good because when I grew up, you had to know people's phone numbers. I don't know nobody's phone number. You know, I'm lost without my phone. So now we get into AI and you can put something in there and all of a sudden you're blown away with the amount of information that it creates, that to the point I'm like, this is really scary because I'm not able to really think for myself, you know, with clarity. What's your take on that before we go into the other question?
I love it. I know I like robots. I like technology. Open AI is really just like a search engine. It's like Google or something like that. It's just more advanced. So I kind of I enjoy it. I don't know.
So why did you want to partner up versus selling your idea? Most people be like, I want to sell the idea. I know why you did it, but I think it's great. But tell the viewers why you try to hold on to your own idea versus selling it.
Because I'm not really after money. You know, I'm after a passion. And I know if I sell my idea, it's not going to go in the route that I created it. And that's to help kids who come from where I come from. So I ain't want to sell it. I know they're going to change it if I sold it.
What's your next step on making sure that the protocol goes the way that you want it to go? Private investors, you're just going to work several jobs and do it on your own. What's your game plan?
I think I'm gonna probably go independent. I'm not gonna go with a big company, just for safety. You know, big companies is too much. I might just reach out to certain developers, engineers, and all that. Small ones, and try to connect with them and start it.
Why do you think there's a need for your product?
I feel like it creates a different form of education. It can really better the education system. When you talk to kids who are in public schools, they will tell you that they hate school. It's boring. So if a robot comes into school, looks just like you, because I'm going to design him in a way that looks like the kids. Comes into school, looks just like you, can connect to you, understands where you come from, can understand how to do the work and take the work and put it in a way that's more entertaining and, you know, interesting. It's going to cause a lot of kids to actually want to learn.
You have a lot of teachers. It's going to be pissed. You're taking their jobs.
Not really. It's not really. He's going to be more of an assistant.
Okay.
So they're going to be the main teachers. So whatever they're teaching, the robot can take that and help the teacher create it in a more better way where a lot of kids can learn. For example, one thing that I had that I want him to do, say if it's like a math test or something like that, he can create that boring math test into something that's or turn it into a game.
Yeah. And I agree with that too. Even when I went back to work on my master's, I had to take a math class. And I remember telling the professor, we're not in high school. You're paid to show me how to learn the system. Yeah. You know, so everybody in here learns this particular class, this particular math a different way. It's your job. I said, you need to listen to what I'm saying. It's your job to find a way to teach me that I am able to adapt to. So now you're doing a robot that can do the same thing. Because I always tell people there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I agree with what you just said. That's my main argument.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. That every kid thinks differently. Like the kid that I work with who suffers from ADHD, he's very smart. Yeah. But I understand that the way that he's learning is not his learning style. He needs something else that fits his learning style.
And I like the idea that you came up with doing that, because my first time as a school teacher, it was kindergarten through 8th. And I remember coming home and I laid on the couch and go, oh my God, this is crazy. But you have to be able to relate to each one of those students. Yeah. And I remember one student, he had family issues. Another kid, you know, he acted out, and the mom was like, well, I can't believe my son is acting. I'm a school teacher. Well, maybe there's something missing at home that he does here. But then something else that's more important with what I agree with your ideal is this. Tolerance is the key. And human beings do not always have the appropriate tolerance level to deal with multiple children who also bring to the classroom some type of trauma that you are completely unaware of, and more importantly may not have the adaptability to deal with it. So I agree that your idea should be taken in deep consideration. There has to be other ways to excuse me, there has to be other alternatives to teaching. I believe anybody can be taught if you find out their niche.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Interesting. So what's next for you after this? Let me call it what it is. Glorifying the East Side.
Yeah.
Changing the school system.
Yeah.
Embracing your spiritual journey.
Yep.
Being an overnight sensation on social media. What's next for you?
I don't know. That's the journey that I'm still working on, you know. Just every step at a time, you know, God opens doors, he's going to close them. So I'm just going off his beat and really just appreciating the journey.
Speaking of beat, I saw a clip where you rap too.
Yeah.
What's your stage name?
It was Nation the Post Road again, but I'm going to just keep it Nation Clay.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Are you really good?
Yeah, I kind of make music for kids, though.
What's music for kids?
Just music that, you know, makes kids want to listen.
So it's rap music, but it's educational rap music?
It's not really educational. It's more, it's positive. It's not cussing. It's not downgrading.
Give us an example. Give us a beat.
Nah.
I'm putting you on the spot now. Give us a sample of what an educational music sound like.
I can't. They just gotta go listen.
Where can they listen to it at?
YouTube. One of the songs is To the Moon. Just two and then the moon. It's Nation the Post Road again. Or they can just type in Nation Clay, it'll pop up.
Why the song To the Moon? What's the inspiration behind that?
I thought it was just a nice, good title. But it was more so, it's a catchy song. A lot of kids do like it.
Really?
Yeah, they like it. They love it, honestly. And it was also, I was inspired to write half of it around Brentwood. More so to allow the outsiders to see a different picture.
Okay. How can the viewers reach out to you and follow you, support you? I'm pretty sure you reach out to them, you respond back, but how can they reach out to you?
Instagram, YouTube, Nation Clay, NASHANCLAY. Nation Clay on everything. Facebook, everything.
Leave the viewers with that beast mindset. I mean, you're out there and you're definitely doing a lot. I looked at your posts and I'm like, wow, you know, and even going up in these abandoned, you know, dwellings, man, I'm like, I'm not going up in there. But leave our viewers with what keeps you going with that beast mindset.
What really keeps me going, you know, is God putting this passion in my heart to really fight for the youth. You know, I got a story to tell. And I know it's a lot of kids that really depend on me. You know, it's one kid that keeps me pushed. He keeps me going. And I know that if I stop, I'm failing him. And my goal is for the world to help him, you know, save him and help him not fall victim to what we see in this world, the gun, jail, or anything like that. So a lot of kids, all the kids, and especially him, keeps me going.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton